poison yourself emotionally through trauma during your life. Even as a child, you may have been bullied and kept those memories to yourself or those experiences. Maybe you had some father or mother issues. Maybe you had some physical abuse. Who knows? Everybody's different. Everybody's led a different life. But the thing about it is that our bodies, the 100 trillion cells in the body, have this remarkable ability of remembering every single second of our lives, consciously and unconsciously. And if we choose to stuff down those emotions, they can manifest as sickness. And this I'm going to talk about later. How do we get rid of that toxicity? Not only physical toxicity, but emotional toxicity, which is so important to good health and wellness. So after we've balanced you and you're lying on the table, we're going to address the feet first. We apply 7 different oils along what we call the spinal VitaFlex point, which runs from the heel of the foot up to the big toe. And we apply those oils 3 times on each foot. And this is one of the missing links, actually, where, again, Young Living, when you get the kit, unless you can do VitaFlex technique properly, you're never going to experience an effective Raindrop session. Because VitaFlex is what happens when we call it pad tip nail, where we're massaging the skin, piezo coming from the Greek meaning pressure. When we press on our skin, we create a current. And when we roll over onto our tips of our fingers, we actually increase that current. And then when we hit the nail, click onto the nail, we conduct that electric current. It's released. And those very subtle currents, the piezoelectricity currents, they travel along the energy meridians of our body. Now, Chinese traditional medicine people and reflexologists, they've known about these pathways for thousands of years. It's just that in terms of VitaFlexing, which came from Stanley Burroughs' research and the Tibetan monks, they found there's probably something like 5,000 different points in our body that directly connect with every single organ and gland and cell, that if I press, for example, on my left hand here, I'm affecting my heart. Yeah, I can VitaFlex my left hand, and that is going to reduce the palpitations or my heartbeat, as an example. And there are points on your hands and on the soles of your feet that mirror the actual organs and glands and their location in the body. So this is what we're doing when we start energizing the feet first. We're actually realigning the spine, affecting the spine before we even turn you over and start applying the oils on the spine physically, where we drop in the oils on the spine. So this was Gary's magic. He understood this 20, 30 years ago. This is followed by the feathering, we call it. And there are different techniques that Gary incorporated into the Raindrop techniques, some that he learned from the Lakota Indians. The Lakota Indians used to chase the northern lights, the Aurora Borealis in the Yukon in northern Canada, because they felt and understood from generationally that if they put their hands up to the northern lights, the energy from the electrical storms coursed through their body and actually detoxed their cells. And Gary learned that from them. And they used to use an eagle feather on the back to tickle the skin, to give you those goosebumps, these electrical impulses. Well, we don't use eagle feathers. We like to preserve eagles, but we do use very subtly the fingertips in a very light manner to replicate that sensation. And of course, the other techniques come from Stanley Burroughs' Tibetan monks' experience, and Gary's also incorporated some more aggressive Swedish massage techniques during the whole session when we're addressing the oils on the back. Okay. So what does it involve? If you are not on the table for you should be on the table for at least 60 to 75 minutes. If you're not, it's probably not being done properly, or you've been shortchanged. And remember, and this is why I'm going to get onto how you prepare for a raindrop. This is not 2 drops of lavender on your wrists or a couple of drops in a diffuser. During that 75 minutes, you will have between 80 and 100 drops, depending on how generous your facilitator is, dropped on your feet and along your spine. That's a lot of oils. This is why the raindrop technique is actually a very aggressive detoxing protocol. And as long as you understand that and you know how to handle that, then you're going to be fine. But it's important that you do prepare for the raindrop, because imagine if you haven't ever used essential oils before. For 10, 20, 30 years, you've built up this toxicity in your bloodstream. And as soon as the oils hit your bloodstream through the skin, they're going to start flushing out, which is what we want, flushing out the toxicity, the poisons that have been stored in your organs and glands, yes? So you need to know what to expect and how to handle that. This is just to illustrate what I talked about a moment ago, where the base of the foot, the sole, the VitaFlex points, and we have charts to show different areas. So you've got your left and your right foot. You've got your liver on the right foot. You've got your spleen on the left foot. Your digestive system's at the base here. So we are following this line along the edge of the foot on the left and the right foot, which is, we will run the oils from the coccyx, so-called, the base of the spine, right up through this imaginary line, past the atlas, and come off through your head area and the limbic area, which is where you keep a lot of memories, right off through your big toe. So again, it's important you understand what the VitaFlex technique is all about, because without the VitaFlex technique, you are not going to experience how can I put, an effective raindrop technique. You'll just be putting the oils on and there will be some effect, but not what you should expect. So the electrons from the oils together, right? Don't forget that you're combining two modalities here. Gary's knowledge of aromatherapy, where we know the oils are intelligent and have this resonance, this vibrational energy. And then the subtle currents that we're creating with this pad tip nail massaging technique, the VitaFlexing, they are going to give you this double whammy effect. And the electrons, basically, they travel up the energy meridians and they're cleansing as they go. It may be an oxygen shortage. It may be a nerve linkage that's broken. So the oils and the electrons have this ability to fix these particular problems along the electrical pathways, which is how our body functions. Now, this is where it gets a little bit crazy, because if you start Googling about raindrop technique, you're going to get a little bit confused. When you get your kit from Young Living, you'll find there's a booklet in there and a CD, no problem. If you look into the other reference books, which I advise you do, particularly Gary Young's Integrative Medicine book, or the Pocket Reference, which is a great tool to have if you're just looking, or the Bible, I call it, which is Gary Young's Essential Oil Desk Reference, you will find, if you go to the sections on Raindrop and VitaFlex, that there are some small differences in the techniques that are used, and small differences in the sequence of how we layer the oils, okay? Particularly the difference between what we teach you in CARE, the Center for Aromatherapy Research and Education, as the organization that certifies instructors, and the way in which Young Living, for example, Tamara Packer, will show you how to do it. And let me explain why that is. As the certifying body, CARE, we're only interested in getting you through an exam and getting you to be able to perform an effective raindrop technique on your family and friends. So we only use the original raindrop technique that was demonstrated to over 1,000 Young Living distributors when Gary first introduced it publicly in Dallas, Texas in the year 2000, right? We don't use the changes and the different raindrop techniques that he did after that date, because we need an answer for the examinations. I can't ask you a question and then you say, oh, well, number 5, I read that in the Essential Oil Desk Reference. It's not what you told me, it's different. And the reasons are because when Gary demonstrated it afterwards, the only person he was interested in was the person he was treating on the table. And he was very instinctive. So he sometimes would add oils. He would change the sequence to help that person on the table. Even in front of an audience, he was not interested in passing an exam. He was only interested in helping that person on the table. So when all the Young Living distributors there taking notes on all these sessions after the year 2000, things changed. Yes. They changed even when I went to Croatia for the Raindrop symposium a couple of years ago. It was taught in a different way, even differently from the essential oil desk reference description, even differently from the kit that you get from Young Living, even differently from what Tamara Packer teaches, having spent several years with Gary in the Navita Clinic in Ecuador. So just don't worry about that. If you're doing care to become an instructor, once you've passed your exam, you use your skill, you use your instinct to treat the person on the table. And you may change the oil sequence. You may add oils in because you get messages, your channel, right, told to use certain oils on that person, which will help them. So that's the reason why there are some differences between what care teaches and what you'll find Google or what Young Living tells you and how to do it. Okay, hope that clears that up for people. Again, if you've got any questions, I'm quite happy to answer them at the end. Now, which essential oils and blends did Gary actually select and why? As I mentioned earlier, we start with Valor, which again was out of stock for almost a year. So we use a lot of Sacred Mountain as a substitute because we use it very liberally. We use a lot on the feet and we sprinkle a lot on the back because the Valor is there to give you the courage, not only to perhaps make some emotional decisions, because it's quite possible that you may have what we call an emotional release on the table. You've triggered a lot of memory. The oils have been at work for the 30 or 45 minutes. You may get some messages, some emotional messages. You might get some little pictures of you as a child in your head, or some colors will come up, or some symbols, which shows that emotionally you're being detoxed, because the language of emotion is not the same as the way that we speak to each other. It comes up in different ways. The energy, when it's released, is coming to the surface for you, gives you the opportunity to address the problem, to address the negative energy. And that's your choice. Do you want to do that or don't you? Do you want to stuff it back down, or do you want to have a release and let that negativity go and replace it with positive energy? Yeah. Now, if you don't have Valor or Sacred Mountain, in Gary's integrative medical guide, page 182, you will actually find the ratio of the oils that he uses to make Valor. And also in the David Stewart's Chemistry of Oils, Essential Oils Made Simple, also confirms what Gary was using, because David Stewart, who was the founder of Care, incidentally, used to be a panel doctor in the late 90s and a good friend of Gary. So again, you could make up your own Valor blend. The only oil I think you'd be challenged with is rosewood, which is very difficult to get hold of and is actually a protected species. But apart from that, you've got all the oils there in the Young Living portfolio. We then start addressing the feet and then the back of the spine afterwards with two very powerful oils, oregano and thyme. And these are oils that Gary chose for specific reasons, a reason to start with these oils is because of their properties. And if you look into their properties, you'll find that they're both high in what we call phenol propanoids, phenolics, certain ketones, certain natural alcohols. And both these oils have certain properties that we now know can scrub and clean the cell receptor sites inside our bodies. Now, let me give you an example of how important that is. Just imagine that you did not shower or bathe for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Can you imagine the surface of your skin, how clogged up it would be, and how it would stink? It would be like a drain, wouldn't it? Well, imagine the inside of your body. We cleanse ourselves every day. We shower ourselves daily, don't we? How many times have we showered our body internally and cleaned our 100 trillion cell receptor sites? Not very often. So oregano and thyme, these are high in phenols, and they have the ability to clean out these cell receptor sites, opening up the doors in the cells to give access to the DNA. So now the cells can communicate with the rest of the body instead of manifesting some sickness or disease. We then follow with the trio of oils, which interspersed with certain massage techniques, but we follow with basil, wintergreen, and marjoram. These all have their own specific benefits. Marjoram, for example, has what's called sesquiterpenes in there. Long name, don't worry about it. That's just the ingredient that have the ability to delete the information that's been programmed in the nucleuses of your cells, and basically bad memories, basically negative energy, toxicity. Yeah, could be heavy metals that have affected you, bad diet, you didn't exercise, you don't have enough oxygen in your system. So sesquiterpenes have this ability to delete that information. And then what we do at the end of the technique, and this is slightly different to the way Young Living teach you, we use cypress and peppermint, very high in monoterpenes, and monoterpenes are the reprogrammers. They bring you back to this natural memory of health and wellness that you had when you were born. You were God-given natural health. We've made ourselves sick. Yeah. So the oils have this ability because they're natural, organic, therapeutic, have the ability to communicate with the body, just like the hormones and other neuroreceptors in the body, to communicate with the body's cells and bring us back to this balance, this homeostatic balance, we call it. Again, homeostasis. If you remember that, and tell your family and friends, will think you're a scientist, right? And then, of course, we finish off with peppermint, which is also high in monoterpenes, but a couple of other reasons why we also use peppermint. Peppermint has very, very small molecules. You open a bottle of peppermint and you smell it straight away, don't you? It goes right up your nose. It's very volatile. These small molecules have the ability to drag the other oils that have already been applied deep into the muscles and the cells. And also, peppermint is a pain suppressant. So when we put that very hot towel on you at the end, which also opens up the pores, drives the oils in deep, and allows the fat-soluble oils to run away from the water in the towel, the damp towel, it really means that the oils will be able to do their work and get deep into the spine and the surrounding tissues. Okay, so that's the oils that we use. There are, of course, the supporters, I call them. In Malaysia, we use as the massage oil Ortho Ease, which is now being renamed as Body Ease for whatever reason. If you find that you've got a little bit of skin, maybe on the back of your neck when you're doing the oregano is a very hot oil, for example, it's quite an aggressive oil, then put some V6 on there. So we have that on standby. Unlike Young Living's training, we don't apply aromasays in the sequence. Why? Because aromasays is actually 4 of the raindrop oils plus lavender anyway. We don't see the point of adding or repeating the same oils on the back again. But we do use it if we detect during the course of the spinal massages, tightness, congestion. Yeah, we use aromasays because it's got marjoram in there, to release the muscles and make it more comfortable for you. All right. And then, of course, there's white angelica. Not in the kit, but is there to protect you. Now, why do I say that? Well, we're dealing with energy, people. If you're raindropping frequently, you will find that you are in a person's energetic aura, their electromagnetic field, for 1 hour, 15 minutes. And whether you believe that or not, we've all got this aura around us, this electromagnetic ability, yeah, this sensing device. When you walk into a room and people have been arguing, you can sense it, can't you? That's the connection we have between individuals. So it's the same if you are in contact with that person on the table for 60 minutes, 75 minutes. You will start connecting with them on a very deep
camera, Al. Can you get out?
yeah. If you're not careful, and you need to be able to channel energy through you, not from you, because if the energy is coming from you, you've got a problem. And if you are taking energy from the person, and a lot of people who come for Raindrop are sickly or they're very low energy, you will eventually find that you will be attracting that negativity to you. So two things. One, learn to channel the energy that comes down through you, not from you. And secondly, protect yourself with the White Angelica protocol. Okay. Basically, the protocol is it's just brushing yourself with the oil. It will form a bubble around you and negative energy will bounce off you. Yeah, that's what they always do. They're intelligent. They know how to look after you and themselves. Okay. So why is the sequencing of the oils important? Why don't I start splashing peppermint on the back first and end with oregano? Because I know some of you take all the oils and you mix them up and put them in one bottle, don't you? I know. Where's my bottle gone? No, that's not a Raindrop. I'll get into that in a minute. Okay, Gary was way ahead of his time. He was a genius. He knew more about essential oils than anybody on the planet. Yeah. So he knew that by taking certain oils, which is now being confirmed by modern science, and if you want to read about it, where's my books? You read Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief, a great book, Molecules of Emotion by Candice Pert, and David Stewart's book, Chemistry of Essential Oils. They'll all start confirming the new science of epigenetics. Basically, that means that we are able to the mind and the body are connected. We can think ourselves well, but we can also think ourselves sick, right? Oh, I can't pay my mortgage next month. Oh, my child only got nine A's instead of 10. I'm a failure as a parent. You start stressing yourself out. You start thinking yourself sick. If you are happy and you're full of vigor, and living a life of passion, painting, dancing, singing, whatever, you will produce hormones in your body that make you feel good. That's self-healing. Yes, you are thinking yourself well. We don't need doctors, actually. The body can produce all the chemicals we need to heal ourselves. And this is being confirmed by new cutting edge science. And Gary understood this already, that the oils are at this vibrational level, raising our vibration, raising our cells' resonance, and bringing us into this life of health and wellness. So again, back to the sequence, back to the chemistry of this. What's the explanation? Why does the Raindrop technique work? How does it detox me? What is it doing? Well, I've mentioned it already, the first set of oils, and you can remember this because in the business, we call it a PMS, to remember, PMS anointing of the oils, because we're layering oils on you. We're anointing you with the oils. So we start with the P, the phenols. The second series is the sesquiterpenes, the S. The PMS is just to remember it, right? You know what it means, ladies. And M for the monoterpenes. So we are cleansing with the phenols. We are deleting with the sesquiterpenes, and we are reprogramming you back to health and wellness with the monoterpenes. And that's why the sequence of the oil is so important. That's why we start with the heavy phenols, then the sesquiterpenes, then the monoterpenes, so all the oils can do their jobs in sequence. I think I might have gone ahead of myself. This is oregano and thyme, cleansing the cell receptor sites, followed by the sesquiterpenes in the oils to give you this balance. Then you've got the basil, wintergreen, and marjoram that complement the perfect mix of these ingredients that we now find, which includes some ketones, natural alcohols, and sesquiterpenes. Cypress, brilliant oil, great oil, big tree oil, reprograms the cell memory back to its original state of homeostasis. Mentioned it earlier. And then, of course, we finish off with peppermint in care to drive those molecules deep into the skin, and also to handle the very hot towel we're going to put on your back to open the pores and give that dampness to drive the oils even deeper into the skin tissues. Now, this is going to upset some people. Might not upset people in Malaysia at 1 o'clock in the morning, but it might upset you people in the UK in the afternoon, because this is what a raindrop is not. And as care instructors, we get very frustrated with this. And this is why we don't call it a raindrop massage, because massage gives the wrong impression. It's not two Thai ladies hanging onto a pole and stamping on your back. Raindrop technique is very subtle, right? It's very gentle, but very stimulating. So remember that. And bless her, Tamara Packer. I know she's the family and all that. But I saw what she did in Malaysia when she came to teach the raindrop. And there was 100 distributors on the floor on a yoga mat, right, on their stomach, and the poor person trying to apply the oils with leaning over for an hour. It wasn't good. You need to have a massage table if you're going to do this properly. They're not a lot of money, but they're worth every penny, yeah? Because the energy that comes from you will be felt by the person who's receiving the raindrop. Not only will the person on the floor be uncomfortable, you will be stressed because you're going to get a painful back, yeah? And you will not be able to do the techniques properly. So you cannot do it on the floor. I'm sorry, you probably get shot by you even saying that. A lot of people tell me, oh, I've just given myself a raindrop of the feet. I don't think so. You may have applied the oils along the spine, the VitaFlex points of the spine on your feet, and given yourself a VitaFlexing of the feet, but you've certainly not given yourself a raindrop session, okay? So bear that in mind. I've seen on Googling where people say, look, you don't need to put these oils on one at a time. Just put all the oils into a bottle, shake up the bottle, and then apply the oils on the back. Well, of course, if you put the oils on your body, at some level, they're going to help you. But as I've just explained, the reason why Gary came up with the sequencing and the oils that he chose is very, very important, because each oil has a job to do in sequence. Yes? Delete. It's cleanse, delete, reprogram. That's what's going on as you accept the oils. And as you're going inbound, you're allowing this negativity to rise up so you can handle it. So let's move on to the second part of what I promised you. Let me have a little sip of my water out of my small glass. Always drink your water. We'll get onto water in a moment. Very important water. Now, whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, over the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, depending how old you are, I will not get into that, most of us have made ourselves sick. And how have you done that? You were at college, drinking, smoking, partying, right? As we get older, lazy, binging on Netflix, no exercise, didn't oxygenate the body, ate the wrong food, was eating KFC, McDonald's to survive, not good. Splashing on synthetic cosmetics, ladies, which are poisoning your body, spraying all this stuff under your armpits, poisoning your body, all right? Again, not time today, but you need to understand about a chemical-free home, because otherwise you are poisoning yourself and your children and your family. That's how serious it is. Long-term use of prescription drugs can also poison you, because pharmaceuticals are synthetic. The body doesn't recognize them, so they have to be stored in the body. They cannot be excreted. Very difficult for them to be excreted. I think paracetamol stays in your body for 20 years before it's actually eliminated fully. That's why you ladies get cellulite. The body's protecting you. The toxicity gathers in the adipose tissue, the fatty cells of your body, and hardens. And it's very hard for you to get rid of it, isn't it? On your thighs or stomach. That's because the toxicity has hardened the fat. So you have to flush out the toxins first, then you can naturally burn the fat tissues away, okay? And that's when you start losing weight. But this is all about the fact that you've made yourself sick. So how do we combat all this? Because Raindrop is an aggressive detoxing protocol. It will flush out the toxins and poisons into the bloodstream. And you will, if you've not been doing what I'm suggesting in a moment, you will feel nauseous, you will feel dizzy, you will feel sickly, which is exactly what the 100 people felt like the next morning after Tamara Packer left KL. My phone was hot. Oh, Robert, I don't feel good after yesterday's raindrop. Really? Did she tell you to drink water for the day before? No. Well, of course not. The brain is registering the toxicity that's being flushed out into your bloodstream, ready for excretion. Your liver is working very hard, turning these fat-soluble products into water-soluble products so you can flush them out. Sweat it, perspire it out, pee it out, poo it out, or breathe it out. It's got to be water soluble before you can excrete these toxins, poisons, and synthetics out of the system. Whew, get excited now. So, what do I recommend you do? And this is important for everybody who wants to consider a raindrop and or facilitate and tell their family and friends what to do before, because this will also help you build. Bear with me. So 5 to 10 days before you do a raindrop, or before you're going to have one, or you're going to tell your family and friends what to do before they accept a raindrop, just give them some common sense advice and think Noah's Ark. No, I'm not talking religion. I'm talking about NOAHSARK. So you remember, it triggers the information that you need to give to people before they have a raindrop. Energy for nutrition. Just tell them to eat light. Avoid bakery, dairy, and sugars, which are highly inflammatory to the body. Believe it or not, you can do your own research. Stay away from carbs for a week, right? Rice, potatoes, pasta. Again, not good. Because most of this is processed, as you know. It comes from the supermarket. Processed food, frozen, packaged, whatever, toxic to the body. Use omega-3 oils, not omega-6, not your big bottles of canola, synthetic cooking oil. Use pure oil like virgin coconut oil or butter. Butyrate in butter is brilliant for your body. Don't believe what they said 50 years ago, that margarine is better than butter. What rubbish, wasn't it? That was just a marketing scam. Butter is good for you. Kerrygold is a brand from Ireland. It comes from grass-fed cattle, not from grain-fed. Second, oxygenation. You need to start oxygenating the blood and the brain. So get them to get their PSK bundle out, their box, whatever you call it, in America or Canada or Timbuktu, wherever you are with your oils. Get out the peppermint. Get them to infuse a drop every day. That will give them clarity, concentration. The peppermint, small molecules, crosses the blood-brain barrier. Really good to get the blood oxygenated. Alkalinity. Most of us are very toxic blood, acidic blood. Acidic blood means you are highly open to getting a disease or illness. For example, cancer cannot grow in an alkaline, oxygenated, hydrated environment. It needs low oxygen. It needs acidity, okay? So get onto your lemon every day in the water, like me, in the water. Okay, Vitality Lemon, flavoring oil, we call it in Malaysia. I'll let you into a secret. The only difference between the labels, it's the labels on the bottle. The oil is all the same. The lemon yellow label, the yellow white label, whatever it is, the same oil. Don't tell anybody I told you, okay? We've been ingesting these oils for 25 years, and hallelujah, we're still alive and healthy. So get some lemon in your system. That will alkalize the blood. Hydration, key. Most of us are walking around in a state of dehydration. Why do you think you get migraine, headache, pains in the joints? You're suffering from dehydration symptoms, like you're in the desert. I mean, as an aromatherapist, it's sometimes very frustrating if I want to earn some money, right? I get people to double their water intake for 2 or 3 days, and they call me up and say, oh, those symptoms ahead, Robert, they've disappeared. Well, really, they've just hydrated themselves and brought themselves back into balance. So rule of thumb, tell your client or your family member, start drinking water, half their body weight every day. So if you weigh 100 pounds, half the body weight in ounces would be 50 ounces, 2.5 pints. That's how much water they should drink on a daily basis. Big guy like me, 200 pounds, 100. I need 100 ounces. That's why I've got this big glass. 5 pints a day sounds a lot, not really, because I'm not talking sodas, teas, Coca-Cola, soda drinks. I'm talking H2O. Yes, the body will handle that H2O for you. Next, supplementation, get them back onto the kit, PSK, or the bundle that they got. There's a couple of packets of Ninja Red in there. Get them to split it, 30 ml with some water in the morning, 30 ml in the evening, and then use a second packet the next day. Get them in the habit of using the products, because Ninja Red is a great tonic to the body. It's going to fight off those free radicals and oxygenate the blood, yeah? Antioxidants. That's where the goji berry is so important. And then, yes, also be brave. Tell them, look, you need to do a little bit of exercise for this week before you go and have the raindrop. Maybe 15 minutes. Walk the dog, clean the car, whatever. Go for a walk. Yes? Maybe you're a gym rat. Well, don't overstrain yourself, but make sure you do that. And again, if they say, oh, I haven't exercised, or I've got a pain in the back, pan away. In your PSK kit, you can use pan away. Yeah. This is all going to make sense in a minute. Don't panic. I know what time is it? How are we doing? Oh, we still got some time. Now I'm sure you can do the next one in ARC. R in ARC is rest. You need quality sleep at the delta theta level, the REM, rapid eye movement sleep. This is when the body actually rejuvenates, regenerates, and detoxes. That's why you sleep. That's why you wake up in the morning with a full bladder. All the stuff and the uric acid and the salts are being flushed out for you to pee out in the morning. I know some of us have to get up halfway through the night. But anyway, that's another problem. Make sure your room is cool, dark, no electromagnetics. Take that phone away from your bedside table that you're recharging. That will mess with the brain, yeah? We can start introducing the concept of chemical-free home. Remind people that the toxicity in the bed sheets and the clothes they wear every day is going to be absorbed through the skin and make them sick. So get them to start thinking about the Thieves laundry soap and other products from Young Living that's clean, natural, and smells good. Yeah. Clean the atmosphere in the bedroom. The Thieves, get the Thieves out from the kit. In the diffuser, show them how to use the diffuser. Yeah. Some people don't know how to use the diffuser. I get calls the next day, down line saying, Robert, the diffuser doesn't work. Oh, I put the oil in the diffuser. Did you add any water to the dewdrop? No, nobody told me to add water. Oh my goodness me. So teach them how to use the diffuser. 4 hours, red dot, fill with water, 8 to 10 drops of Thieves, let it run for the 4 hours. Close the door, close the windows, turn off the aircon, empty room. Thieves will kill off all the pathogens in that room. The mold spores coming out of the air conditioning, very big problem in tropical countries like Malaysia. It will kill the cat dander, the dust, the pathogens, the pollen that's coming through the window, the proteinaceous material that gives kids asthma attacks. Kill all that off with Thieves and do it once a month. It's a really good cleanse for each room. And then, of course, we've got the last letter, K. This is the holistic approach. Put all this information and knowledge together. We are in the business as Young Living distributors to transition people from this life of toxicity into one of health and wellness. And chemical-free home is a good place to start. So explain that for the 5-10 days before they have a raindrop, and you will be doing these people a great service and introducing them to the oils that you've already given them through the kit. Make sense? Okay, let's move on. Some housekeeping. Make sure that if you're doing the raindrop, your nails are trimmed and polished. I mean, if you know how to do the thumb Vitaflex, if you don't trim your thumbnails, you'll leave a bloodline on the back. You press quite hard, and we don't want that. Okay, ladies, remove the nail polish. No perfumes. Not good. Toxic. Wear loose-fitting clothes so we can tuck the towel and the sheets in there to protect you and to get to the coccyx, right at the base of the spine there. All right. Get rid of the metal. No jewelry, no watches, no rings. We deal with very subtle electromagnetic pulses here, and we don't want those interfered with by the metals you are wearing. Now, some people say, "Oh, well, I've got a plate in my brain, and I've got a bolt in my knee. What do I do about those?" Well, we don't want you to take those out. We'll handle those. Okay, I'm talking about rings and stuff, bracelets. Now, what other benefits can a raindrop technique bring to you if you're using this Noah's Ark as a Young Living distributor? I mean, just think back a minute. What have you actually done? What have you done? You've got your sign up or your old member to actually have used several oils from the premium starter kit, haven't you? Inadvertently, as an excuse to prepare for the Raindrop. And they will appreciate this advice, this holistic advice. You're not trying to ram down them every product, the 600 products that Young Living produces. That's what scares people off. Treat them gently. Introduce them to the pre-SK oils, which will help them not only to come back into balance, to detoxify, but ensure that they have a really good experience with the Raindrop session. It builds trust because they know that you have their best interests in mind. You're not just trying to sell them product. You may even be mentioning other products like apple cider vinegar, which is great. Bragg's, nothing to do with Young Living. Okay, so set them on this course for a foundation of health, because one of the amazing things that happens if you do this, can you imagine after a week of living this particular Noah's Ark lifestyle, of eating properly and oxygenating, doing some exercise, they're going to feel good before they even do the Raindrop. And they're going to give you some awesome testimonies. Yes, testimonies are the lifeblood of our business. So think about that. Guide them into this path of health and wellness. Transition them out of toxicity, right? You've done it for a week or 10 days in terms of the oils they use. And then when they come to have a Raindrop session, boom, they're going to be ready to rock and roll, and so will the body. Now, just a few other tidbits, some bonuses. You may have heard of Dr. Leanne Dearduff, and I mention these doctors because I'm about to get into the 7 benefits, and I promised you I was going to use evidence-based reference books so that I can stay compliant. These guys, the 2 doctors, they've written 3 fabulous books: Taming the Dragon Within, the go-to book for hormonal balance for ladies, Inner Transformation Using Essential Oils, Staging and a Sequence of Detoxing Every Organ and Gland in Your Body in the proper way at the proper time of year. The book I use a lot of to bring people back into this foundation of health and wellness. And then last but not least, Ultimate Balance. This is more about energy, how we can use the vibration of the oils, what time of day we apply the oils, because this is very important. We're all running on an circadian cycle, yeah? So Dr. Dearduff acknowledges that. Which organ do we treat at what time of day, and what time of year should we treat a particular part of the body? So this is a really, really good book. I love these books. Sorry, I'm showing you a lot of books. I'm a greenie, I'm a techie. Sorry, I read everything. My wife says I'm very well educated, but I'm not very intelligent. I'm still trying to work that out. Now, so let's get into the 7 benefits. What are the people, they're going to ask you, well, what does a Raindrop do for me? Whoa. What doesn't it do for you? It affects every organ and gland in the body. It's an overall aggressive detoxing protocol. So pain alleviation, something we don't talk a lot about in Young Living, but the Medical School of Miami reported that aromatherapy, heat and massage are rated highest for alleviating pain. Guess what Raindrop session has? Oils, aromatherapy, heat, hot towel, massaging techniques, alleviates pain in your body because you are stimulating these self-healing agents: serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, the feel-good chemicals that are going to heal you. Did I use the word heal? I did. Secondly, reduces heatiness in the body, very important in Malaysia, in the Chinese community, the yin and the yang, okay? Wintergreen, 80% methyl salicylate, the synthetic version which the pharmaceutical industry stole to make aspirin, because methyl salicylate is a natural cortisone, meaning that it's a painkiller, reduces heat in the body, just like the menthol in the peppermint. Menthol with an OL, natural alcohol, lowers the heat in your body. Now, thyme is also great because it absorbs nitric oxide, the free radicals. That's why one of the reasons why you're drinking Ninja Red, reduces the temperature of the body, improves your circulation. Russian and Japanese scientists have confirmed cerebral circulation is significantly improved by essential oils when the body is in a prone position, meaning flat, not when you're standing up. You will decrease your cortisol level, the killer hormone, right? When you are prone and relaxed, your heart rate stabilizes. You will de-stress when you are lying down. Nature recognizes that, okay? Not when you're standing up, but when you're, that's why we lie flat in the bed to go to sleep. Frequent raindrops can support cleansing of the spinal areas. Now, I mean, one of the reasons Gary developed Raindrop was actually address the issues he had with his spine, don't forget. We actually call Valor chiropractor in the bottle because it has this ability to electrically realign the spine naturally and permanently. Not like chiropractors who tend to physically maneuver your spine and vertebral column back into position, where it can click back, okay? Once you've changed the memory of the cells, it will naturally realign permanently. And of course, Gary was laughed at, wasn't he, when he told people that the spine is where a lot of viruses and bacteria are hidden. Well, now UK and German researchers have confirmed in the new science of epigenetics that if we trigger these hormones, these viruses and bacteria, it can lead to things like scoliosis, curved spine. Why does some people get that and not others? Why is it a certain disc slipped when you bent over or did something strenuous? Because there was weakness there caused by you triggering that particular virus or bacteria. That's the reason why you slip a certain disc. Was it T5 or whatever? Was it L3, the lumbar area? It's because of the energy you've created there. We'll get onto that. Helps calm you down. De-stresses you. And we have a book to prove it, because when David Stewart started doing this 20 years ago, everybody was saying, oh, a raindrop, where's the evidence? Where is the supporting evidence? You know what it's like with something that's natural. Everybody wants evidence-based. They don't want to trust the fact that it worked for them. So we did a book, right, called The Statistical Validation of Raindrop Techniques Survey. 5,000 letters were sent out to professionals in America, got 1,400 responses to prove that the power of touch from chiropractors and from massage therapists and from doctors and professionals actually did alleviate stress. Because again, the neurotransmitters, these ingredients, these chemicals and hormones that we produce in the brain, they increase our emotional health. They alleviate symptoms of depression. They make us feel good. One particular one in Cyprus, which I mentioned, Cyprus is a great oil, is alpha-pinene. Not only is it packed with monoterpenes to actually reprogram the cells, it actually reduces and relaxes your body. Okay. Number 6, it supports your whole physical and mental wellness. Some of the oils, and Cyprus is one of them again, has the ability to stimulate white blood cell production. Now, I'm not going to go there, but you know what I'm talking about. In this present day and age, with the masks, right, social distancing, we need high immunity. We need our bodies to be able to fight off these stuff in the atmosphere they tell us is there, these viruses and bacteria. And we can do that naturally, all right? Again, when we are feeling good, when we are happy and full of vigor, the body responds by producing chemicals that will protect us and build up our immunity naturally. So again, this is what the raindrop oils do. Now, last but not least, 7, you maybe experience what we called earlier as emotion release, because the oils go up your up your nose to your olfactory, right at the top of your nose, and it's connected directly to the middle of your brain, the limbic area of the brain. Sense of smell is the only sense that you have that gives you an immediate emotional reaction. Sight does not, hearing doesn't, taste doesn't. Smell does, because it's directly connected to this, what we call the limbic area of the brain, where you've got the hypothalamus, the pineal, the pituitary gland. It's all in the same area. So if you trigger these memories that you've been stuffed down or your body is remembered, it was traumatic when you were at school, when you were bullied. It was traumatic when you had a parent issue. It was traumatic maybe when you were physically abused, or whatever happened to you as a child and you couldn't handle it at the time. Those memories will still be there, running and ruining your life. Believe me, when they start coming up after the raindrop oils do their job, and it may not be on the day of the session, it may be a day or two later, you may be driving along and all of a sudden a memory comes up and you think, why did I think of that? It's because it gives you the opportunity to release it, let it go. Self-forgiveness is a big part of what we do in emotion release course in the care class, because we're all beating ourselves up. We're all using language that is not good for us. We are thinking ourselves sick. Emotional release is so crucial in health and wellness. We think now that 95% of physical illnesses start with an emotional problem or issue that we don't let go. And we build it up over time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. All right? So when we're mature enough to deal with these issues, that's the time to deal with them. We couldn't do it when we were children. Now, if you have any questions or comments or complaints, don't contact Nora. She might not be too happy. You can contact me. I'm quite happy to fence. Raindrop technique and care is a passion of mine. I've been doing it for a few years now. Fabulous technique. Use the oils. You'll have a great result. Any questions, I'm very happy to answer. You can unmute yourself or put them in the chat.
Robert, I'm sorry, because I hit the record button a little bit later after I did the intro for you, and now I'm going to give you another intro for those who stepped in late. So for those who didn't listen to the beginning, Robert is care instructor. He's a fully certified care instructor, and he's only one of the 2 in Asia. Let me give you a little bit of background on Robert. He has a degree in Earth Sciences from London King's College, which no doubt at that time planted a seed in him regarding the environment and the preservation of our precious resources. Many years later, having been introduced to Young Living essential oils by his wife, Sika, he discovered his passion for teaching and naturally became an educator and trainer for her fast-growing organization. Robert now forges his own path as a certified aromatherapist and travels regionally as one of the only 2 instructors, as I mentioned earlier. And he is a FCCI, who is able to certify students of Raindrop, Vitaflex, chemistry of essential oils, emotional releasing, and ancient scriptural oils. And he's originally from the north of England, as I just discovered, but he lives in lovely sunny Malaysia. I think we should be trading places, Robert. But that's just a little bit of intro about Robert, but thank you so much. And, you know, we enjoyed every single information that you've given us. You are indeed a great educator. I, having been in Young Living for so long, didn't know that we had Noah's Ark to remind ourselves. So that is new information for me. But, you know, preparing ourselves for the treatment will help it to have more lasting effect. And having not prepared myself previously, I will now be more diligent before I receive a raindrop treatment from you, maybe when I, you know, I'm able to fly back to Singapore. So I hope everybody has enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask. I think we have one other question. People are asking whether you can just demo the VitaFlex thing on your hand so that they can at least see it. Otherwise, they're going to leave this session not knowing how to do it on their feet. So is it possible for you just to show that?
Yeah, of course, absolutely, I can. Just remember that it's the care module for applied VitaFlex is 4 hours. So what I'm going to show you in 4 seconds really doesn't do it justice, because you need, for those who weren't at the beginning, you need to know, of course, this is familiar to some of us. We know if you're into reflexology or acupuncture, the reflex points on the body, which were determined by Stanley Burroughs, actually, are very important. And we tend to just follow the one line here in terms of the spine when we're doing the raindrop. But during the applied VitaFlex, we actually show you 13 different techniques to address 13 different organs and glands in the body. It's based around piezoelectricity. The fact that, if I can just show you here with my hand, with my arm. You start by putting your fingers flat on your arm. It's called pad tip nail. So the pads, and we're talking about the very subtle energies that are going to be coming out of these very small chakras at the end of your fingertips. Not the palm, we talk about these. This is why when you're a raindropper, your tools you take with you. Yeah? You can do this anywhere in the world because VitaFlex can be done on its own, but it's also obviously excellent if you're also using the essential oils in tandem with the technique. So we're going to start with start at the top of your arm, pad, roll over at the tips, then you must click right over onto your nail, because what you are doing is you are pressing, piezo meaning pressure, you're pressing on the skin to create a very, very subtle electric current. You then increase that by rolling onto your tips, and then you release it by clicking over onto your nails. And that is the VitaFlex technique. And just, it's not one and then move up, one, then move up, one. No, it's a very smooth, moving up as you go, wherever you're doing this. And it could be on your spine, it could be on your feet, it could be on your calves if you're doing your colon. It's pad tip nail. Do it slowly to start with, then you can build up the pressure and the speed. So it's pad, tip, nail. Move up, pad, tip, nail, pad, tip, nail. So consciously think of the energy coming out from the ends of your fingertips. And again, a little tip. When you hold your hand like that, you'll see that your fingers are all different lengths. Just clench them a little bit and you'll see that they form their own line, their natural line. And that's what you want. You want to be one straight line as you go up the sole of your foot or up the shin or wherever you're doing the VitaFlex technique. And you're just naturally using your thumb as a guide. Pad, tip, nail, pad, tip, nail. So we show you the 13 different techniques in the care course, where and how you can affect the heart. Where can you treat the liver? This is particularly good for children. Children love being VitaFlexed on their feet. You know, and a lot of parents, we can't get to the chest. We can't get, you know, maybe to the ears or wherever. There is a point on the sole of the foot, and the children appreciate the fact that you are, and also elderly people really appreciate the touch as well as the use of the oils, because, you know, how many times is it you've actually had your feet anointed and somebody, I wish my wife would do my feet every now and again, but no chance. So VitaFlexing on the feet is really, really nice together with the oils. Yeah, I know as a raindropper, I give out, I get very little back.
Yes, I think as a practitioner, we tend to be the giver and not be able to get to be the recipient. And whenever I have given that technique, you know, the raindrop treatment for my children and my husband, they all fall asleep on me on that massage bed.
Yeah. And again, while we're on, I might as well give you, these are some of the important things for me. If you have got one of these kids, right, and you're going to try and follow the Young Living way, there's nothing wrong with it. Getting the oils on the body is what Gary said, that at some level will be helpful. But when you're applying the oils, do me a favor, right? Concentrate on the person that you're giving the oils to, on who you're applying the oils with, right? Don't be VitaFlexing on the feet or applying the oils on the back if you're following the book. And what's for dinner tomorrow? Are we going to see that movie? Don't do that. Give the person on the table your full attention. And again, it's not about your faith, but give a blessing, a mantra, or whatever you want to call it, an energy movement, something pure, loving kindness, you can call it. Think about them through the whole of the experience so that they will appreciate that, and they will feel that from you. You will put them in this bubble of trust, we call it, and that's when they get permission at a very, very deep level to have these emotional releases. If you are not in that frame of mind, don't worry about having to handle a person that might start crying on the table. It ain't going to happen to you, because at a very deep level, that person doesn't trust you. Yeah. But if you have this gift of being able to communicate and get in touch with the person on the table and have this sympathy, this empathy with them, then they will know that, they'll sense that, and that gives them the permission to let go. And this is why I keep going on about effective raindrops and not just splashing the oils on. There are some important techniques that you will learn in care that are secrets to the trade, I call them. Yeah.
Absolutely, Robert. I think that is just so important to put your attention to it and your focus and to give the treatment of healing that you want for that person. And as you said, that Gary was preparing it in a different way with different sequence of oil. It's all on bio-individuality on that person that you're treating, whatever that person needs. So you'll be able to communicate with that person when you put your heart and your mind and your attention to that soul that's right in front of you. So yeah, it's just so very important. I think it's very vital that people pay attention to it, in the same way as when we are cooking for our family, the food tastes a lot better when we're cooking with love as opposed to when you're not in a good mood. So I don't go to restaurants and I see, the chef there is in a bad mood, and I just don't want to eat those food. So, the transference of your emotion from you as a giver to the recipient is just so important. Is there any other questions from anybody else?
And again, I would highly recommend if you sign somebody up as a gift to them, because we're allowed to give $25, aren't we? Gift them a raindrop, the price of the oils, because if you will have a totally different relationship with that person if you give them a raindrop for an hour, 15 minutes on the table.
And there's a lot more to the raindrop massage taught by a care instructor than by somebody who just buys the kit. And I've been through the course. I know what it involves and how much more detail there is to it. So if anybody wants to know more about the how to be doing the course, get in touch with Robert. And if you know anybody in Malaysia that you want to gift, you can get in touch to Robert too. That's a very good advice. I think, it's a good present to give to people too in Singapore or Malaysia, especially where you are in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you. That's, you've just given me an idea. I've got a birthday coming up with somebody in Malaysia. Yeah.
And it'd be remiss of me, because we've got people from the US and all over the world, but in the US, if you look for raindroptraining.com, there is a calendar there that will tell you where the care courses are being held. And there's a lot of information on that website that will explain about what I've just explained to you, but in great detail about what the raindrop technique and how Gary put it together. So if you're interested, raindroptraining.com is the care website.
Okay, there's no other question. I'm going to end this session. I think we've gone over a bit, 20 minutes over, but we still had quite a few people still on. Is there any more questions? Alan, do you have any questions?
He answered all of my questions. It was a great presentation. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I enjoy it. That's being up in the early hours of the morning is not a problem when you're passionate about what you're doing. So thank you.
Yes, the information is just so valuable, Robert. And we may have to get you to come back again to do another session next month.
Okay.
But thank you so much again for staying up. It's way past your bedtime. It's over 1 o'clock now in the morning. And thank you everybody who came online to listen to Robert. And you as I said, you will not be disappointed with all the information. And, try and get a raindrop treatment given to you and gift it to somebody if you can. Right. Thank you once again, Robert. Okay, good night, everybody, or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. It's brilliant as usual.
Welcome. Bye.